I wanted to precursor what I'm about to say by saying that I'm in no way making this video out of mockery, nor am I trying to use this platform to popularize myself off the backs of social justice movements. I'm truthfully trying to question / criticize what I've witnessed, what I've seen, especially pertaining to the events that happened earlier this week. I'm sure you're well aware of the horrific events of Atlanta, Georgia, where a man by the name of Robert Aaron Long went up and shot up 8 individuals, 6 of them being Asian American women. As you guys can evidently see, as an Asian American, this is a very serious topic, and my assumption is if you're a normal human being, even if you're not an Asian American, this is a very serious topic. I wanted to say all those things so that I could freely talk about what I'm about to say, so that people don't get the misunderstanding that I'm taking the situation lightly and focusing on the wrong things. I'm very well aware of those things, and the very fact that I feel like I have to precursor what I'm about to say by admitting that these things are true points to the exact problem that I'm trying to criticize. A statistic that you have seen over and over again recently probably has been the multi-1,000% spike in crime against Asian Americans or Asians in the United States. Correlated to that, there has probably been tens, if not 100 times that increase in social media posts, specifically Instagram stories related to such events. After the events of Tuesday, most of my Instagram story feed has been bombarded by such posts, and that really had me thinking about what I'm about to talk about. I will say, as you could tell by the title of this video, while I am asking a question and I am genuinely curious about the answers some might have, I do have some preconceived answers that I think answers my own question, but my genuine hope is that answers that defy the answers that I already have in my mind that I'm about to discuss come up in the comments and maybe through Instagram DMs. I am genuinely curious to answer this question. If you're on Instagram, or if you're in any social media, but I'm going to talk about Instagram stories specifically, I have no doubt in my mind that you have seen some form of a post that talks about the shootings in Atlanta on your story feed. My genuine question is what the intent of posting such Instagram stories is. The genuine reason behind why people post on their Instagram stories. If posting on your Instagram story is a way of coping with the terrible events that happened, if you feel some form of catharsis or healing through posting that and feeling like you've reflected on it through clicking a button and posting on your story, then I have nothing to say. Because if that's genuinely how you feel, I can't tell someone how to feel. The second group of people that I think about, that I think perhaps is the best / only reason posting on Instagram does somewhat lead to the end of racism, for spreading awareness of a direct solution to the problem. Of course, there is no direct solution to racism. If there was, it would have ended already. But given that this was an assault through a gun, and this man committed serial murders through a gun that he purchased recently, if the post that you're making is about signing a petition or sending letters to your local congressman about gun control, an organization that you could donate to, then I think it's very worthwhile. One person can only do so much, and with a click of a button, you could spread it to how many people follow you, and even if one of those individuals gets to see that post and goes in and donates / signs, and that gets one step closer to your vision of how to solve these issues, then I think this is one of the most effective and time efficient ways to do it. My concern, however, is for this third grouping of people, which I unfortunately think makes up most of people that post on Instagram stories and post on social media in general about these social justice issues, about recent events, about issues that clearly need solutions, issues that people should fight for. But in my perspective, the reality is people do it through Instagram stories because it's an easy thing to do and they want to get it out of their hands. In my perspective, fighting for these social causes have become so easy in the sense that as soon as you post, and you could do it throughout the day, you could do it for a month even, you have let go of this intrinsic feeling of responsibility that you must participate in this cause. To my second point about some stories, some posts being more valuable than others, the reality is most of these posts are not very value add. I'm really not sure what is gained by posting, "I hate the police chief of Atlanta." That could have been your grandma. They spelled the name wrong in the article for the 4,000th time achieves. The more specific issue is that the people that will view your stories, the people that will view your posts, are selected people that you have allowed to view your posts. Especially if your account is private, but even if your account is public, people aren't constantly browsing through random people's stories. Most of the people that will view your stories are people in your social circle, people that you view as friends or acquaintances. According to any social study, according to common logic, reality is many, if not most of the people that follow you that will see those stories are probably probably people that share your school of thought and in a way probably won't benefit from your story. To simplify this perspective, if all of your friends share the same idea that racism is bad, that things like this should never happen again, I am not really sure what you gain by everyone posting that exact same story and viewing each other and letting each other know, wow, I agree, clapping hand emoji, this should never happen again, I just can't anymore. What is the value of telling people that already think the same way, the value that you share with them over and over and over again? Ironically, I think the oversharing of Instagram stories pertaining to matters like this only accomplishes two things. Number one, I think it desensitizes people to these issues. The same exhaustion that we feel about listening to bad news all the time, the same exhaustion that we feel about looking at the same advertising over and over and over again on YouTube. If you see the same social cause, the same social justice issue being presented to you over and over and over again, our human minds are unfortunately going to desensitize and devalue that issue, even though the issue is such an important matter. And number two, I think it only further polarizes those that are already polarized. Let's say out of the 100 followers that you have, 90 of them share your sentiment about whatever you're posting about, and 10 aren't fully in line with what you're posting about, and there's some aspects of what you're saying that they disagree with. Sure, the first post you may share may open up for discussion. They may say, hey, I want to learn more about this. These are the reasons why I disagree, but I would love to talk. And I sure hope that one of the reasons why you're posting on that Instagram story is to open up that discussion and try to interact with those that might not be on your side, that might not be aligned with your values. But by the 100th time you have posted the same thing just in different language, it is intrinsic human behavior. It's intrinsic human nature to be annoyed by these things. Not in any way to make light of what happened, not in any way to simplify it, but for a better understanding analogy, let's say you are a huge proponent of pineapple pizza, pineapple on pizza, which seems to be a pretty contested topic in this world. And you tend to be friends with people who also like pineapple pizza. And there is a small selection of followers who hate pineapple pizza. You post over and over and over again that pineapple pizza is the best. Whoever hates pineapple pizza sucks. You post a video of a guy saying, who would like pineapple pizza, and caption it with, this guy sucks. No wonder this guy has a sad life. No wonder this guy's bald. I would be shocked if someone who doesn't like pineapple pizza sees that post and suddenly goes, you know what? Brian is right. I'm gonna like pineapple pizza starting now. I find it very hard to believe that people will change their minds based on social media posts on social issues. I don't remember the last time I looked at a tweet or I looked at an Instagram reel and thought, oh my gosh, I've been so wrong in my perspective for 23 years. I'm gonna change it because I saw this post for the 400th time now instead of 399 times. At least for me, a lot of this seems like a quick and easy way to say, hey, I'm posting this. It's beyond my responsibility now. My hands are clean. I'm not racist by doing this. And a lot of this in the most counterintuitive way. By doing something, you are justifying your large inaction. This is not to say everyone needs to be outside knocking on congressmen doors and saying, I want to be advocates for change and we got to change laws. If that's not what you're into, then you shouldn't feel forced to do it. If anything, doing something because you feel forced to do it is worse than doing nothing at all. Beyond Instagram stories, I think we see a lot of this with celebrities, politicians, high-ranking officials at companies. Being a banking channel, I'm going to do a quick example of the greatest bank in the United States, JP Morgan, their CEO, Jamie Dimon. He posted on LinkedIn after the events of Tuesday and said, on behalf of all my partners on the operating committee, since the start of the pandemic, countless violent and verbal actions have occurred against members of the global Asian and Pacific Islander community. On streets, online, and many Asian-owned small businesses, we are seeing physical assault, verbal assault, and refusal of service. Just last night, 8 people were killed in the Atlanta area, 6 of whom were Asian. These racist acts cannot and will not be tolerated. We are equally saddened that more vulnerable populations are being targeted. Youth, elderly, and women are experiencing the brunt of the attacks. These events are impacting our colleagues, families, friends, and partners in our community. We stand strong against bias and encourage all our employees to make your voices heard and discuss these events with your colleagues. Our fight for fair treatment and equity is not for any one group, it's for all. We condemn racism in any form and fierce determination. Stand united to defend equity, diversity, inclusion for all communities. This is great, admitting that these things are happening. Great. But if we're being honest and we take line by line and look at this as a whole, the first third he says he knows things are happening. Bad things are happening to Asian Americans. 8 people died. This is affecting people that are Asian. Of course, we don't like these things, we denounce these things, and we're gonna do whatever it takes to fight. Doesn't describe what the whatever it takes, doesn't describe any tangible measures to take. But do I blame Jamie Dimon for this post? No, because if he didn't make this post, I think people will say something and say, why aren't you making a statement? Why aren't you standing by the Asian Americans? I'm not a member of JP Morgan, so I don't know what measures that he has taken, perhaps internally that I don't know about, that may very well be very tangible and is working towards solving racism as a whole, solving racism against Asian Americans. And if so, I apologize again to Jamie Dimon for calling him out in this way. But as I said before, I don't blame Jamie Dimon for making this post, because if he didn't, he would still be called out. And if he does, people like me call him out. There is no easy way to win. But perhaps as an excuse to people like Jamie Dimon, who is the leader of a multi-thousand person corporation whose words actually have sway. And maybe someone comes across this post and thinks, you know what, I never thought about racism against Asian Americans. You know what, maybe I've been racist against Asian Americans, and the fact that Jamie Dimon is announcing it is gonna make me a better person and not be racist against Asian Americans. But if I'm just being real, I don't think that really occurs. And I'm willing to bet that doesn't occur by seeing the same Instagram story the millionth time. And if you are one of those people that throughout the day, you just see posts that you like, see posts that you really relate to, posts that gave you a laugh about how ridiculous this whole situation is, posts that made you tear up, and you immediately click that button that allows you to repost on that story, and it gets a lot of reactions, and people say, I'm with you, sister, I'm with you, brother. At this point, it may very well be subconscious. It may very well not even cross your mind what you're doing, and you're just doing it just to do it. But as I stated in the beginning of this video, I genuinely want to ask for those that do this kind of thing, why do you do it? Is it because it makes you feel better about the situation? Is it because it makes you feel better about yourself that you did something about the cause? Is it in hope that someone will look at this and suddenly change their mind about racism and not be racist anymore? Is it to trigger people like me to make videos like this, which further amplifies the conversation? I am just genuinely curious as to what is gained, if anything, versus what is lost by this over-posting of social justice-related issues that, in my perspective, dissolves the issue at hand, simplifies taking action, further polarizes people with different views, and simply warrants a circle jerk amongst those that have similar views to begin with. I want to conclude this video by saying that I am definitely no champion of social justice. I have volunteered before, I care about certain causes, but I am not out there 24/7 on the front lines fighting racism, knocking on Congress's door, trying to make policy changes, constantly donating money to causes. This is genuinely not an attempt to say that me not posting on Instagram stories makes me a more effective person of social justice than those that do. My wish, however, in the most humble way possible, is that this video allows for some form of discussion, some form of an answer, some form of a conclusion, or presents a slight hesitation in your mind the next time you repost something, the next time you post something on your story related to serious issues. It makes you pause and think, why am I actually doing this? What is gained by doing this? And instead of relieving the responsibility that I think that I have, the obligation that I feel like I have to the community, to my world at large, for resolving a lot of these serious issues, simply by posting on my Instagram story that takes me 0.1 second, maybe I could juxtapose, maybe I can combine the minutes and the hours that I take scrolling through post after post that I relate to, that I'm retweeting, that I'm reposting, and redistribute that time into actions that actually results in change.